There is one element that makes every story more unique and fascinating. Something that makes them stand out, that educates, sparks interest, and make the whole groups of people proud and excited. That thing makes any fantasy story more immersing and interesting, but hits even harder when it's used in the stories about the real world. So, what is it? Culture, and the history that creates it. I'm Oak, a creative and a writer, and this is my Broke Oak studio. When I was a tiny oak, like any other Pole, I was ashamed and bored of Poland, dreaming of, oh, the amazing USA. It's a sentiment that can be seen to this day, still kept alive by those who lived through communism and who, in those times, knew any loosely defined luxury only thanks to their relatives living in the West. Only after learning English, I realized that what Polish people think about America is rather outdated. But it wasn't the only thing I've learned. Hopping on the English side of the internet brought the whole world into my arm's reach. People from across the globe, movies and TV series, fun facts, photos, wiki pages that are not written in Polish. And then I realized something. The world is awfully homogenized. Of course, at this point in time, it's old news, but it was a huge realization for tiny me. And, I guess it's only natural for us to become similar in a way. Internet connects us, global trade connects us. Other things that we will mention later connects us. We became similar to each other in a way that helps us communicate. I'm not only talking about English as a, international language, but also culture, pop culture, things we know, things we share, things we talk about. But, it's a specific feeling I have when I chat with people from around the world, and I know that we talk about same topic that we all know, but at the same time I know our opinions and the way we see those things varies. And it's because our culture shaped us in a way that we see things in, various ways. But still, we work in the same buildings, we live in similar ones, we draw the same cars, we wear the same clothes. I need to say I'm really not a fan of the fact that everything became so samey. Because when you look at the traditional architecture of any place on the world, on the globe, you will see that, every culture creates something unique. Those curved roofs in China or Japan? They are actually curved to repel demons, to ward off any evil. That's why they curved. In Poland, houses have, or rather had, high thresholds. Really, really high thresholds. For the same purpose. You can see how everything in our architecture, and not only in architecture, in our clothes and food and everything we have, there is culture in it. There is a reason why we dress the way we dress, why we build buildings the way we build buildings. I know I should talk in a past tense, but I would like to believe that, there are places but try to upkeep those traditions. And not in a regressive way, please note that, but just as a way to preserve tradition for, future generations to see. It always pains me to see how things disappear with time, and I think I will also need to make a video about it. I'm actually plan to do so I will not yap about it here, though I would love to. But to go back to the topic of this video, like, there is no point in pretending that colonialism didn't do a bit of a bad thing to most of the world. And even places like Poland, even though not colonialized, I would like to remind you that Poland was non-existent for more than a century at some point, and then under communism. So, it does things to people. And we can all see how the cult of the West, because I can't even call it colonialism anymore, because colonialism suggests that it was all because of, UK, France, other countries. But at this point in time, I would say most of the people look towards USA. Even English used in the internet is usually American English. I speak American English, I write American English. It's not because I wanted to learn it, it's because this is what there is. And it's especially funny when I use English words, British English words, and, Google Docs and any other apps just try to change it and give the Z to the end of the word. You can see that, I think, in most of content creators that are not from the English-speaking countries. We always end up with American English and with American accent, if anyone can have an accent, because I feel like my broken Polish accent will stay here forever. And I really don't mind that. I hope you understand me. You have the text on the screen, so. Anyway, yeah. Countries not only in Eastern Europe, but also in Africa, Asia, they all try to be like West. They all try to be like... I remember my friend in school America talking about how they would love to have a birthday party with red plastic cups. Because this is all they show in shows and movies from USA. And, those are the things that kinda make me feel weird. Because you would like to believe that we are all unique in a way, that our cultures are there. But yeah, honestly, I don't know where I'm going with it. This is the first time I'm trying to talk without a script, and I guess you can hear me rambling a bit. But what I'm trying to say is that, we all seemingly look in the same direction, trying to copy the homework of the same country. And I don't think it's healthy. It's really like a grey slop. Not even a soup, just a slop. And, at the time, those years ago, I just realized that this grey slop, only our cultures and our roots can make us unique in any way. I was never a master of history. ADHD makes me forget all the dates and most of the names, but event stays in my head, which makes it easy to Google the rest. Somehow I'm able to reforge what my history teacher said about a king who ran away from Poland to become a king of France, to Henryk Walezy, in France known as Henry III, favorite son of his mother who was never meant to rule France, also didn't find a place for himself on the Spanish, Portuguese and UK courts. Instead, he got welcomed by Poles as the first ever elected king in 1573 and ran away in secret 3 years after to become a king of France, last from his dynasty. History is amusing, isn't it? What I'm trying to say, as a teenager, I was never someone who would read about history in their free time. I had this subject in school and that was all. But after spending some time on the English side of the internet, I've noticed that in this homogenized world, only our roots and stories can make us different. Every now and then, I would spend some time reading about historical figures and events, contemplate about our customs and check the etymology of the words, just to know more and be able to share that when the occasion would arise. As would be the case in all those discussions about Marii Skłodowska-Curie, for example. I grow to appreciate Polish culture and history, and I'm always happy to see it portrayed in the media. Like in 1670, for example. I mean, Netflix show, not the year. 1670 tells a story of a Polish lesser gentry with a peak Polish humor and myriad of Polish memes. Of course, translation takes most of it away, and sometimes even goes the stereotype route, but I digress. But it is a very good show. Likewise, I love to consume media that promote other cultures. For example, the newest hit, K-pop Demon Hunters. Did you know that the creator of this movie wanted to show off some Korean history and the K-pop part came later? All those cultural elements, the history of Korea, Joseon Saja, Mudang, Tiger and Magpie, those elements were first. And of course, I love music in this movie and animation and basically everything aside of the speed that the history was going. But the historical, the cultural, sorry, the cultural part was what really made me love this movie. Because thanks to that, I learned that, Grim Reapers in Korea were called Joseon Saja, that Mudang women were helping, souls to go to the afterlife. The tiger and magpie thing is just amazing, and I love how people were having a laugh at, gentry. And also Derpy just look amazing in this movie. I know, in a way, that it works in the opposite than it should work as the, original works centuries ago. Because we were supposed to laugh at the tiger, not "Aw, the tiger." But what can I say? Animators did an amazing job. But yeah, K-pop Demon Hunters made something amazing. And even the K-pop part, the K-pop culture, it's also a culture. Granted, modern one, but still. And, it's also shown very truthfully. People who love K-pop are amazed by this movie, and you can hear all the opinions in the internet praising K-pop Demon Hunters. But yeah, I personally love this movie because of the history and the culture shown in it. And I also love how many, shorts and videos came after that. Korean people talking about their culture and explaining stuff. it's amazing to watch. Not only because you learn something new, but also because you see the happiness in those people's eyes when they talk about it. And you know, there are many, many more videos and series and creations showcasing different cultures. Coco is one of the biggest examples. I heard that Coco was so truthful and unique. I mean, unique on a global scale and truthful to the Mexican culture. That when it comes to China, that always, you know, he can choose which movies are allowed to play there. They were so moved by Coco that they allow it in Chinese theaters, even though in Chinese culture showing corpses and skeletons is prohibited. And yeah, I think that's amazing. One culture got so touched by the different culture that they allowed for this culture to enter their culture. You know what I mean? It's just amazing. And I love that, and I want more of that. Lilo and Stitch is also a good example. Animated one, of course. I will not say a word about live action one. Let's just pretend it doesn't exist. Animators, when creating Lilo and Stitch, you know, you can see in all the videos behind the scenes that they put really a lot of care and respect into showing the Hawaiian culture. They learned the whole dance just to animate it properly. I think it's, you know, it's a very good thing to do and amazing thing to watch. And of course, I would love to see more truly Hawaiian works made by Hawaiian people. And, you know, if you know any titles, any translated books or comics, movies, TV shows, I would love to see them. Please leave your recommendations in comments down below. And why I'm mentioning Disney, it's because Disney is everywhere. No matter the country, everyone will know Disney princesses and stories animated by Disney. Or should I say Disney? I don't know how you call it. Because, you know, movies and series from other countries don't travel that well. You need to know specific title and hope that there is a translation, that there are subtitles. Otherwise, you are in the dark. But, you know, it's good to look for those videos, those movies, those series, and just see other cultures via the lenses of people from those cultures. I really like to watch movies from India, Korea, Czech, you know, France. Oh, French movies. It's always nice to see, you know, different cultures, even if they are similar, because let's be honest, there is a bigger difference between Poland and India than there is between Poland and France. But it's still nice to observe. You can also learn about things like the humor, the kind of humor that nations have. Like, for example, Polish humor is mostly the memes and the vibe of smiling through the tears. I guess we can all relate to that. Korean humor is based on social rules, which is, You can clearly see that watching K-dramas. And French comedies assume that everyone's an idiot. And the story just flow. So you can see that every culture has unique view on everything, not only food, clothes, buildings, architecture, but also things like humor. And I think it's fascinating. I love to hear movie suggestions from people all around the world, but what I love even more is talking with those people about our cultures. Because yeah, we all know what Starbucks is and our cities are full of glass corpo buildings, but our sayings, customs, and the way we see the world are different. Our traditional clothes, food, bizarre moments in history, the way we are raised and create bonds, it's all different. Once upon a time, I was partaking in a hobby that was popularly known as snail mail. I would talk with people about their lives, cultures, countries. This is how I learned about various cultures as a teenager. Not from the history lessons at school, not from, educational materials, but from talking with people. This is how I learned that Argentinians love their yerba mate and that Mosiwatunia is called Mosiwatunia. That one gorgeous waterfall that have a very, very not a regional name currently. And, talking with people from all around the world about what they eat or what they do specific day, how their lives look like. I love when they send me pictures or describe me a place near their homes. I'm always fascinated. This is how I learned there are ruins of castles in Africa. You would think history would teach me that, but no. For some reason, no. And my ADHD brain really, really works against me right now because I can't remember any other examples, but trust me, there is a lot. I have a bad luck when it comes to befriending foreigners in real life. Probably because the area where I live is not very sightseeing worthy. But whenever I was able to chat with someone, oh, the chatting I did. To this day, I remember one exchange student from China with whom I spent hours talking about old sayings and customs. I just love conversations like that. And I know all of that could be just Googled. I could just go to library, find some books on the topic and read. But that way feels more like history subject at school, not connecting with other people. As I said, I love having those conversations. To the point that in some corners of the internet, I'm known as the token Polish because I'm always happy to yap about pierogi and Polish culture. And to be honest, I don't mind that, because that means I'm still myself, even in the internet, even on the English side of it. I'm not just another anonymous grey avatar. Of course, we can't run from globalization and homogenization, but at least we can still try to be at least somewhat unique. Real. But how does it all connect with telling stories, you might ask? Do you remember what I said about K-pop demon hunters? It could be just a movie about a K-pop group or pop star superheroines, but Maggie Kang wanted to add some extra layer to that. To make that non-realistic story more realistic. Sure, most of the people watched this movie for the music and K-pop element, but some did that because they saw Derby. I can just imagine how amazing this must feel to watch a production so big and so Western and be able to see elements of one's culture, to pick apart every detail, share fun facts, and be proud of that representation. K-pop Demon Hunters is a fantasy, and yet it's so real. I wish there was much more stories like that they would be pushed to the front and loved by many. Do you know any movies, books, or comics that weave in some real-world cultures? Or maybe you'd like to share some info about the place you're from? Please leave them in the comments down below. Our cultures makes us unique in real life and diversifies the stories we tell. So let's tell them. And don't forget that every story needs interesting characters. Watch this video next if you want to learn more. As for now, thank you very much for listening to my rambling, and see you in my next video. Bye bye!